How can science get to the island of stable elements that sit far beyond the present discovered elements? This is a question from Cora. He's talking about how can we stabilize the elements that are all unstable, after what we see is stable on the periodic table. And this question can be answered. And to answer this question, I'll have to go back to a paper I wrote a while back. This paper I wrote a while back is called The Algorithm of Information and the Origin of Basic Particles by Bhekuzulu Khumalo. You can take a screenshot there. The Algorithm of Information and the Origin of Basic Particles. What are the basic constituents of an atom? The basic constituents of an atom are protons, neutrons, and electrons. And what are the basic constituents of a proton? Well, the basic constituents of a proton are quarks, and basic constituents of a neutron are quarks. A neutron will have 2 down quarks, so we can show this model. These are quarks. The 2 reds are 2 up quarks or 2 down quarks, depending on if it's a proton. If it's a proton, this will be 2 up, and if it's a neutron, this will be 2 down, and then there'll be 1 up or 1 down. If it's a proton, this will be 1 down. You understand? And these are gluons. The gluons hold the quarks together. So there'll be 3 gluons, 3 quarks, and 3 gluons. That is a proton or a neutron. But let's take protons for what I want for you to understand. So these will be 2 up. Don't worry about the color. These are 2 up and this one is down. So we know from nature that when 2 protons meet, they smash into each other. 2 protons. What do we get? When they smash into each other, we get a myriad of things, but we also get a neutrino. You understand? We get a neutrino. What happens when a proton smashes into an electron in certain conditions? We get a myriad of things, but we also get a neutrino. This neutrino coming from 2 protons meeting, it must be made up as the same stuff as these things. The neutrino is not in there. It only comes out when they smash. So there's a reaction, there's some energy exchanges, and part of that energy that is released is a neutrino. And when electrons smash, that means this neutrino has something similar with this electron and these protons, meaning this stuff is all made up of the same stuff. Do you understand? It's all made up of, I want to show you visually. It's all made, and now when you go into, let's say people go to CERN's, the Hadron Collider, the biggest collider in the world, 10,000 scientists pass through every year, 1.2 billion euros to run a year. What do we get? What are they doing? They are essentially smashing protons together. Can you see these protons are exactly identical in terms of makeup? But you get a myriad of things. You get a myriad of particles from just smashing these 2 identicals. Besides neutrinos, you get such a huge variety. So all this stuff is made up of the same stuff. I cannot understand why you cannot understand that. It's all made up of the same stuff. Let's go to magnetism. And when you smash the stuff, you get a lot of myriad of unstable particles that disappear quickly. You understand? That disappear quickly. And that's what happens with magnetism. What is it when we get magnetism? When two different magnet north and south meet, they annihilate each other. You can see it clearly there in the experiments that were done a year or two after this paper. They smash into each other and they cease to exist, but they all, and they annihilate. What do they turn to? They return into what they came from. The instability of a magnetism shows you it only lasts 2 centimeters. It's so unstable, it returns to where it comes from. Accept the same thing in a reactor, accept it in nature. It's happening with magnetism. You understand? And magnetism organizing. Why is it organizing? Because there's something finer underneath. That's why it's organizing. All the stuff, everything is made up of the same stuff, and magnetism, we can see it returning to it, to whatever it is that it is made from. See, that's what's happening in nature. This mass-particle relationship, it's wrong. Okay, this shouldn't be mass. It should be what everything is made of. What everything's made of, and then mass should come here, you understand? And then we'll get a particle function. What kind of particles? And here there'll be all stable and unstable particles. This should be what everything's made of. See, I realized that because I did those experiments with magnetism, that this figure is wrong. So, well, you learn as you go. But that's the relationship. Photons all have different frequencies. Photons, light. Magnetism also all has different frequencies, because we can see magnetism. Some magnetism dies within 1 millimeter. Some magnetism dies within 10 centimeters. You understand? So that's all different energy levels, meaning different frequency. That means where the magnetism is coming from. See, all magnetism has a different frequency. So, because that means the electrons have different frequencies. Otherwise, all the magnetism will have the same frequency. You understand? So, what do we need to do to answer this? How can science get to the island of stable elements that sit far beyond the present discovered elements? Is to tune those frequencies. We do the reverse process. See the magnetism disappearing, but instead we bring stuff from the ether. We don't have the technology, but that's what you do. That's what the theory is. The constituents of a proton or a neutron, you have to artificially stabilize gluons or quarks with a different frequency so that they are stable. You have to start artificially making stuff now. Perhaps God has given us enough. Now, if the gods have given us enough, we have to. This is the way. Oh, we're a long way off, man. We can't even reverse process. We know the ether's there. It's time to now see what can we get out of the ether. Well, first we have to at least be able to measure this ether. But that's the answer to the question. Is to create like a magnet. Can you imagine a magnet with uniform magnetic field? That can only be created by man. We have to tamper with it somehow and get that, you understand, and get nature to behave the way we want it. And that happens, and it's a long way off, but it's theoretically possible. We have to create matter from the ether the way we want it. Well, that's the answer.